It's 3 in the morning, and I'm having trouble falling asleep for various reasons. So I decided to make this video, just to get some things off my chest. Rants and Rambles is never going to be a regularly scheduled program because it is entirely unscripted. It's just me talking about things on my mind. So we're going to start with the thing that's been on my mind the most, which is just... I saw a video last week which pissed me the fuck off. But actually, it wasn't last. It was like 6 days ago, and dear God, basically, it's this woman, a black woman, telling you all the reasons why Black Lives Matter is wrong, and why there's no such thing as racial inequality and all this bullshit. And I didn't even finish the entire video because I was so completely and utterly disgusted by it. So let's go over just the beginning of the video and the parts of it that I did see why those were wrong and why I couldn't bring myself to finish it. First of all, yeah, just because someone's black doesn't mean all black people are going to agree with them. It works the same way on every level. Not every single white person in the world actually likes and agrees with everything Trump says. Not every single black person in the world is going to agree with every single other black person in the world. There are plenty of black people who have nothing but hatred in their hearts for Condoleezza Rice. Now, just because someone's black doesn't mean that every black person in the world is going to rally around them. In fact, I'm guessing the majority of black people who were watching that video probably looked at her and thought, "You're a traitor. You have betrayed your entire race. You're a disgrace to your race." And, even, it didn't necessarily... the video itself didn't actually say that, oh, I'm black and I disagree with Black Lives Matter, but it's just the fact, well, not her personally didn't say that, but that seemed to be the general tone of it. Oh, if a black person is saying Black Lives Matter is wrong, obviously it is, it's not true, because... there's also another point in the video where she was like, "Oh, well, this professor at this university," and then she had to just casually throw in who is black. Well, first of all, if there really is no racial inequality, and race really doesn't, it makes no difference or whatever, then why do you feel the need to mention that he is black? I'm just saying. Let's just point out that hypocrisy first. That's a whole nother thing that we can go into. How people try to defend... There are so many people who try to defend their racism by doing or saying something racist. And it's always hilarious. And sad. And sometimes scary. But always hilarious. But anyways, one of the things she said was that, there was some professor at some elite private university that was like, well, black people getting shot by cops is actually less likely than a black person getting hit by lightning. And there are a couple of things wrong with this. The first one we'll touch on is the fact that I don't care how rare it is. It's still wrong. It's kind of like people dying from cancer. It may be very unlikely that it's going to happen to you, but if it does, that doesn't make it hurt any less. That doesn't make the family members you leave behind any less sad, because, at least it doesn't happen to every single person. No, even if it only happens once a year, even if it only happens once a decade, even if I've only seen it happen once in my lifetime, it would still be wrong. So the frequency does not lessen the severity. That's just a stupid fucking argument to make. And the worst thing about all that argument is also the fact that even if black people are more likely to get struck by lightning than they are to get killed by a cop, guess what? They're still 10 times more likely to get struck by lightning than a white guy is to get killed by a cop. That's the problem here. That's the problem that Black Lives Matter is trying to fix. It's because there is an inequality there that black people are targeted so much more heavily than white people. It's not it was never once said. Okay, that would be a lie. There have been some people who said it, but that's not the general tone. No, it's not like every single black person is saying, "Oh, cops are going out of their way to kill us," I know there are good cops out there, and I try to be understanding of that. These are human beings, and I think the majority of them probably did get this job just wanting to make a difference, wanting to make the world a safer place. The problem is, systemic racism, which goes back like 200 years, and it's so ingrained in our society that we don't even notice it. And that's why we need to have this conversation. Because there are people out there who are blatantly racist without ever realizing it. I mean, as Tupac said, it's not a secret. Don't conceal the facts. The penitentiary's packed and it's filled with blacks. Why? Because we're looked at more often. And it's not just something that we're making up. It has been statistically proven that white people, they'll commit a crime. Like, they'll have an ounce of marijuana, and they'll get a slap on the wrist or like a small, like $200 fine or something. And cops will just be like, just be careful not to do that again, okay, sir? And let them on their way. While black people, for the exact same crime, will get thrown in jail right away, just serve 2 years for that same bullshit that the white guy was just like let off with a warning for. No, not only that, we're looked at more often, we're considered suspicious of crimes. I've had a very easy life relative to a lot of people. I don't feel like I've suffered from overt harassment, but there have still been times where I have been stopped in the middle of the streets, and all I was doing was just walking down the sidewalk from one place to another, and yet 3 times I've been stopped and questioned and even frisked on 2 of those occasions, just because, apparently being one black is enough to make walking down the street a suspicious activity. I'm just asking you honestly, how many white people out there just walking down the street have been stopped and questioned as a suspicious person? Just walking down the street. That's all you were doing. You're walking down the street getting from one place to another. You're headed back home after a long day of work or whatever. You're going to the store to pick some snacks up or what, and cops just stop you and start asking you questions because they think there's a possibility you might be up to something. It's very frustrating to live in that kind of world where the people who are meant to be there to protect us, I'm more scared of them than anything. It's just that video just, I didn't even finish it, and yet I've spent this entire week just incredibly pissed off by every single second of it. And the one issue that I really want to touch on the most is that the whole video started because they're trying to denounce Colin Kaepernick and the whole kneeling for the national anthem issue. And let me tell you why that's a problem. Here's the thing. It's a peaceful protest, and I see there is nothing wrong with peaceful protest. We're supposed to live in a country where you're free to express your ideals. And here's the thing. I don't want to live in a country that forces people to stand and sing the national anthem and forces their kids to say the Pledge of Allegiance. We're bordering on totalitarianism if that's the route we go down. I don't want to live in a country like that. Now, even if you personally think it is a dishonor or disservice and you think it's wrong, people still have a right to do what you don't want them to do. When you force people to live their daily lives to do this, to pledge their honor and loyalty to the country. I mean, do I think you should respect the military? Yes. Do I think you should respect the flag? Yes. But if people choose not to, that is their personal right as a free citizen, as an individual in this country. And let's be honest, half the people on Twitter saying all this bullshit about disrespecting the flag, when y'all are watching the games at home, how many of you stand up for the national anthem? I bet half of you don't get off your couch cushions. And if you do, it's just to use the restroom or grab another beer. I mean, let's be honest, I bet many of the people who talk about disrespecting the flag and how, they need to stand up, You probably don't even show it the proper respect that you're supposed to, do you? I think there are things in this video, other things that need to be in this video that I just have not touched on. But, you know, I'm tired right now and I'm not thinking straight. There is one thing I do want to say. Now, I mentioned Tupac, the song called Changes. And if you've never heard of that, first of all, what the hell is wrong with you? Second of all, correct that situation and go listen to it now. Because there's one thing that I was actually having a discussion with that song about somebody. And, we both agreed it's one of the greatest, not only rap songs ever, but one of the greatest songs ever made, period, in any genre, because it tells a great story. But we disagreed on the story that it told. Because he said, it's a great story about black people struggling in an unequal world. And I said, that's not the story. It's a story about people, American citizens, who are being forced to struggle because they are unfairly treated as less than equal by a society that views them as lesser beings for the simple fact that they were born with darker skin. That's what the story is about. Like me, a lot of people will hate me for saying this, but I hate the term African American. And there's a hotly contested debate about that. We can get more into that later, but me definitely, I hate that term because I had nothing to do with Africa. Never been there in my life. Don't know anyone from there. I've met people from there, but I have no real personal connection to that country or continent. I keep getting that mixed up. Africa is a continent, and there are all these little countries inside of it. Anyways, I have nothing to do with that continent. I am an American. I am a pure-blooded American. I was born in America. I was born and raised in America to two American parents, and their parents were all Americans, and their parents were Americans. As far as I'm aware, my family's been here since the slave days. Hell, I'm guessing that my relatives have been in America longer than half of the white people that I've known. My ancestors might have been here before some of yours. And if they weren't, well, guess what? Your ancestors owned my ancestors. So I don't see how you can really be proud of that. The point I'm trying to make is that I feel I have the right to just be an American. I am Nathan Lyle, an American citizen who happens to have dark skin. I hate the term African American. The term black, I won't necessarily say it's offensive. I think it is a stupid term that really shouldn't be used. I'm an American citizen. I do have dark skin, but that's only relevant when it comes to police profiling because, not profiling, but when you're telling the police, oh, this guy committed a crime, this is what he looked like. Sure, skin color becomes relevant. But when you're at a doctor's office, black people have different diseases than white people. That's just a fact. White people are more susceptible to skin cancer. Black people, we can get it, but it's incredibly rare. But in the meantime, we get sickle cell. I don't personally know any stories of white people getting sickle cell. So, there are times when it does matter, but 98% of the time, it means nothing. It really doesn't. But we make it mean something, and that needs to change. The only term that I'll accept is African descent, but once again, I think that information is only really relevant when it comes to things like I said, medical forms, census data, things like that. Other than that, I just want to be known as an American, and I think that's my right. Like I said, born and raised in this country. My mom was in the military. But I have two grandparents in the military, and yet I'm still called African American, and that pisses me the fuck off. Whatever. Anyways, If you haven't already, or even if you have heard it before, just take some time to just sit and listen to Tupac Changes. It's amazing how that song came out 20 fucking years ago, and yet almost every single word of it is still entirely relevant today. I mean,